City volunteers prepare for an aid distribution in the aftermath of a fire in Quezon, the Philippines. A firefighter's children donated red envelopes with cash to help other children go to school. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Sue. Thank you for joining us. We begin our program today with news related to fire accidents in different parts of the world. In the Philippines, a fire broke out near Jinsi in Tatalong, Quezon City on February 28th. It affected about 300 to 400 households. Among the fire victims is a local volunteer. Despite the fire, she remarked that she's grateful that her grandchildren and her are all safe. City volunteers are also assessing the damage to prepare for an upcoming aid distribution to help the fire victims. Let's take a look. In Tatalong of Quezon City, a fire broke out at 3:30 a.m. on February 28th. The fire affected about 300 to 400 households, and the cause of the fire is still under investigation. The fire took place across the street from City volunteer Alfredo Lee's factory.
Many people here are our donating members. In addition, many of them are our volunteers.
Local volunteer Walita Acuzina is one of the fire victims.
Although I didn't bring any clothes with me, my 6 grandchildren are all safe. I'm very grateful. This is a blessing from the Master.
Although her house has been burned down, Walita still joins Tzu Chi's pilgrimage held on Wednesdays. After borrowing a grey uniform from another volunteer, she heads to the Jinsi Hall. Afterwards, she goes to help prepare hot food at the recycling station. Meanwhile, another group of volunteers also assess the damage and prepare for an aid distribution, hoping to help the fire victims get through the tough times. Also in related news, in a residential area in northern Yangon, Myanmar, a fire devastated 36 houses, leaving 150 people homeless. Upon receiving the news, city volunteers immediately distributed clothes and other materials, giving these survivors a new start. Let's take a look.
The fire broke out in the early morning at about 5 o'clock. At the crack of dawn, Tzu Chi volunteers in Yangon immediately visited the disaster area to conduct disaster relief. Local people are relying on fishing to survive, with the fire burning all their belongings, also making it difficult to continue.
The road here is very narrow and can only accommodate 1 fire engine. Every household is close by, probably only 30 centimeters apart, so it was hard to extinguish the fire.
In the resettlement center, volunteers recorded the needs of the affected families and quickly purchased supplies and mobilized manpower to pack them. The next day, the distribution was made immediately so that the 36 affected families can temporarily overcome their immediate difficulties.
We work hard our whole life to build this home, and one night it is all gone. We are quite sad, but thankful for your aid distribution. Because of your encouragement, the sadness in my heart has lessened a lot.
Performing the Tzu Chi's song, We're Family, led many to shed tears. 28-year-old Ma Ting Ting Kliang escaped with her 2 children and also helped save her neighbor's dozen children.
At that time, a fire spread to my back, and there was only 1 adult here as I was busy trying to call out to the children. I didn't care for my own safety as I later found out my foot was injured.
Her son was also injured as volunteers showed their concern for his injuries and also appeased the hearts of this entire family.
This torch burned our home, which is really sad, but fortunately your help has been good for us as we can appreciate these materials.
Tzu Chi's timely care has helped these survivors endure this difficult time and give them the confidence and courage to rebuild their homes.
After the massive earthquake struck Mexico in September last year, Tzu Chi has conducted 10 relief distributions for the affected residents. The supply cards given by Tzu Chi have helped over 10,000 affected residents. Some of the residents used a card to buy construction materials to rebuild their homes, while others used it to pay for their children's medical expenses.
My kid is only a few months old. When my kid was born, he started to vomit, and so we brought him to the hospital.
because they were going to urgently give him surgery. The doctor told us that he has a colostomy because his excrement was too hard, which obstructed his intestine. After the earthquake took place, we couldn't take care of him anymore because my husband and I didn't have money. So I put on gloves and used toilet papers to help him clean. And I stick it here and I dry it. There are times that he may get irritated. When they don't adhere to his body, I have to use a new one. Sometimes when he cannot adhere to his body, we will have to use 4 or 5 pieces a day.
I have known them for more than a year. They left the place where they used to live because it was devastated by the disaster. At that time, they didn't have a place to stay, so we tried to help them because they have a baby.
After the earthquake, Ricardo told us that we could stay here, and it was then we heard about Tzu Chi Foundation. They have given us a lot of help since we are here. They have been very kind to us.
I started to come in contact with Tzu Chi because my neighbors told me that the foundation can teach me to help and give support to people in need. The people I am referring to may include anyone like friends, siblings, or even strangers.
Hola, buenos días. Quería comprar gasas y amoxicilina.
¿Amoxicilina suspensión?
Sí.
Permítame. Amoxicilina y gasas.
¿Le puedo pagar con la tarjeta?
Sí.
Gracias.
Hasta luego, que le vaya bien.
After they gave me the supply card, we use it to buy a microwave so that we can heat the water for my kid. Now we are able to buy diapers and milk. We spent rest of the money buying colostomy bags for my kid.
They didn't have money to buy the medication they needed, so the supply cart is very helpful to them. Now they have become happier and they no longer feel sad, as they can finally solve the problem of the medical expenses for their baby.
I feel very moved and I'm thankful to those people who have helped me. Because of their selfless devotion, we were able to receive help, especially the medical assistance for my baby. I'm grateful to the supply card because it has helped my family.
In Luqian County of China, many students at Chongde Elementary School drop out of school because of family reasons. Many of these students are of ethnic minorities. A chorus chairperson from Kunming has changed such trend. More than 3 years ago, he formed a chorus, giving these children the chance to learn music. Having persevered despite setbacks, this chorus has been invited to perform on CCTV in Beijing. Here's more.
My dream is to become a singer.
Two classes of students have graduated. In September of this year, we recruited 46 people to the new chorus.
During the second semester of 3rd grade, we teachers go to different schools to pick the children.
Following the teacher's gestures, the students do vocal practices. 80% of the children are from male minority. They've traveled long distances to achieve their dream of singing.
They fully support me because my father and my mother love music. When there is no one at home, I practice singing loudly in the kitchen.
The students can sing an entire song now. However, when a chorus was established in 2014, there was no teacher or foundation. They had to learn everything from scratch.
I've heard of the music for Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, Do, but I forgot it.
Back then, one person sang Do, while the second person sang Re. They never attended music class, and there was no music teachers. We started from using numbered musical notation before learning to sing the correct notes. Then gradually, they can learn the correct vocal sound.
However, one cannot learn music in a short period of time. During the long practices, many parents ask their children to quit singing.
The farmers think the children should stay home and do farming. Even if you keep on singing, you cannot earn any money.
3 years later, the chorus won first place in the county. Then they held concert and won prizes in national singing competitions. Later, they were invited to perform for CCTV's Children's Channel, getting the opportunity to travel to Beijing.
When I heard that we were heading to Beijing, I was very excited. I hoped that all the classmates could go, but in fact, only 2 people were allowed to go.
There was a student with young siblings. Having to care for the siblings, she could not join us. After we went to her home, she explained to her mother in Miao dialect that we were heading to Beijing. Her mother broke into tears and supported her. For them, Beijing is a place they only seen on TV. More than a year ago, only 3 children had been to Kunming, not to mention traveling outside of the province.
Education gives one the best chance to be lifted out of poverty. If you give someone money or clothes, you've temporarily solved his problem of coldness and hunger. However, education allows them to be lifted out of poverty for the long term.
The clear and loud singing is heard in the elementary school in remote areas. These children of ethnic minority might be shy, but singing has helped them regain confidence. In Luquan, the children are embracing a new chapter of their lives. In Taiwan, Huang Jingsan used to be in charge of Hall 2 at the Taipei World Trade Center. He later decided to move back to his hometown in Jiayi to care for his parents. He also started a second-hand bookstore, which has changed the fate of many children in this area. For 7 years, he has been operating this space, which has encouraged young children to learn. Here is our report.
My parents about 7 years ago were already more than 82 and 83 years old. I thought about how to take care of them and coming back. Every year before Lunar New Year, there's a Taipei International Book Exhibition, which attracts a large crowd as everyone is interested in learning. But actually, my hometown doesn't even have a single bookstore. If we don't have enough knowledge, then we won't have any strength, as knowledge is what helps shape our life. So all of these used books were purchased from Taipei and brought here to create a so-called learning environment in my hometown.
This is probably the first used bookstore in Minshong. There are also very few when it comes to Jiayi County. I think it's excellent. He has a lot of books here.
There's a young first-grade girl which until now can't do any pinyin because she did not attend kindergarten. Her father is undergoing chemotherapy. Her mother does part-time jobs to support the family. These disadvantaged children show their needs. Who wouldn't help these children?
Many here are being taken care of by their grandparents, and some elderly don't have the ability to look after children. Therefore, for these elders, this place is a big help, and for these children, it can be called a rescue center.
One-to-one education give them a big help. I do nothing, only ask them to do homework at home, as this used bookstore can be used to help them finish their homework, or they can even ask these teachers for some extra help.
The boss of this bookstore says we are lacking teachers, and I taught English for many years, so I thought that I could contribute these skills and do a little to help.
This group of children are the ones who were skipped over, but because other children were so much better that they couldn't compete. But now that they are getting some tutoring, and with the attitude of never giving up on any child, they're doing better now.
In our next report, we'll meet some children who have reached out to those in need. In Nantou, a firefighter has encouraged his 3 young children to donate their red envelopes with cash to help other children go to school. Meanwhile, students in Tzu Chi's parent-child class in Beitou organized a flea market to raise funds for Hualien's earthquake victims. Let's join them there. At Tzu Chi's parent-child class in Beitou, the children are selling their second-hand items at stalls. They've donated these items they once cherished.
This is 20 NT dollars we want to donate to the residents who are affected by the Hualien earthquake so they can buy some daily supplies. We donate the money to help the Hualien earthquake victims so they can use it.
The parents and students have organized this flea market so they can raise funds to help the quake victims in Hualien and also learn to cherish goods. In Nantou, these 3 young children have made a big decision to help the people in need.
We donate to help the children in need.
I hope they can go to school as well.
Their father, Lin Shijie, is a firefighter who has been saving lives for more than 10 years. Their mother often tells them that their father's job is to save people, and therefore the children want to be like their father.
When school started, I asked them, what should we do if some children cannot go to school? They replied, we can help them go to school.
In the past, they've always saved their red envelopes with cash in the bank. However, this year, when the school started, they headed to Yanfeng Elementary School to donate their red envelopes with cash. The school will use the money to pay for registration and lunch fees.
I hope this lesson will teach our 3 children to cherish their blessings and be grateful.
We hope to help the children who need assistance. I also want my children to understand that helping others is the foundation for happiness.
After donating their red envelopes with cash, the children keep asking if other children are able to go to school now. Their purity and kindness have also taught their adults a precious life lesson. In our next report, we'll meet a survivor of the earthquake in Hualien. Mrs. Liu is a taxi driver and a single mother. Her car was destroyed in the quake, and she used the government subsidies to pay off the car loan. City volunteers have provided care to her, and they're evaluating other ways to help her. Meanwhile, medical research has found that post-traumatic stress disorder has a lot to do with genes. A research team from Tzu Chi University confirmed that PTSD is not just an extreme emotional reaction, but it might have a lot to do with specific genes.
After the earthquake in Hualien, many people suffer from insomnia and fear. This is a typical post-trauma stress disorder. Some people only experience it mildly and can soon recover, but some people can be stuck in the negative emotions for a long time.
How come other people are fine now and have recovered from the disastrous experience, but you're still not? It might be due to some genes in the brain which have problems controlling the emotion, so you recover slower and have more serious symptoms. Some serious symptoms are very obvious and could heavily affect the patient's life for years.
Tzu Chi University Medical Science Institute's research team has found that if someone is trapped in fear for a long period of time, it might be due to a specific gene is losing control.
We have found
that this gene ATF3 under normal condition will suppress our memories of fear, but when it's losing its function, then the brain cells connection will have problems to adjust flexibly. Really, that's why the patient will feel scared.
This research outcome has been published in major journals internationally and approved by many scholars around the world. Other than medical help, caring is also an important medication to help the affected residents to recover. Mrs. Liu is shouldering heavy financial burden after the disaster, and Tzu Chi volunteers reach out to her to understand her situation.
The most important thing is to open your heart first. Other than that, everyone is here to give you love, so you're not alone.
She was a taxi driver, but her car was destroyed in the earthquake. She has 4 children to raise, and the tuition and living expenses are a heavy financial burden for her, so she is under massive pressure now. Hence, we focus on what she worries about the most and try to relieve her pressure.
Tzu Chi volunteers kept their promises to continue their love and care for the disaster victim by providing aid, settling them down with basic living needs, and bringing the smiles back on their faces.
让人家伤心的2月份过了之后，我们从3月份新的开始，好不好？好不好？
难过就飞走，
难过就飞走了，幸运会飞回来。你好棒哦，你最棒。
In Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers in Danshui have held a New Year's greeting gathering at a nursing home in Bali district. At the occasion, Tzu Shao's presented drum performance, and the volunteers also danced and performed Chinese music. While spreading joy to the nursing home residents, the volunteers have also become more determined to continue caring for the needy. These Tzu Shaos demonstrated youth and vitality with the drum performance. These dancers perform a New Year dance, which attracted the nursing home residents. Then the residents also participate in the activity of speaking good words.
We keep in mind the Buddha's compassion and love. The Buddha guides people to do good deeds with his words.
These players also seized the occasion to perform Chinese music, hoping to bring everyone some joy.
The atmosphere here is very warm. As we bring happiness to others, we also feel joyful. Now that I'm getting old, I hope to contribute to the society in the rest of my life.
I'm glad to have the opportunity to bring joy to everyone. I feel honored to do so.
Tzu Chi volunteers are quite amazing. They need to be good at everything. They need to entertain everyone. In addition, they also provide love and care. I think I need to learn from them.
While sharing joy with the nursing home residents, the volunteers are also determined in continuing to spread love to more corners of the society. Today's Lantern Festival. To celebrate the occasion, Tzu Chi Sign Language class in Danshui has held a lantern painting activity. Besides enjoying some holiday festivities, the organizer also hopes that everyone can light up the lives of those in need. We'll leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.